See, Tom, I really want to make fun of you with the extension of Luke Fickell, but I can't say that because Brent Venables got an extension for no apparent reason. Like, what is okay? Can I genuinely ask this question just out of curiosity? What is the point of extending these coaches that aren't currently being poached elsewhere? Like, I would understand a guy like BV or even a guy like Luke Fickell being a guy that you want to extend and make sure that buyout is ludicrous if an organization is going after them. But who is targeting Luke Fickell right now? Notre Dame's not. Ohio State's not. Those seem to be the only two schools he wants to go to. Who is targeting Brent Venables? And I understand you're going to the SEC. The asking price is going to be astronomical because of what the guaranteed rate is. But like neither one of those deals made sense regardless of what the records were. Because of why are you spending that type of money to extend a coach and pay a bigger buyout to fire them 2 or 3 years from now when really nobody is trying to go ahead and knock on the door and say, hey, do you want to come coach in Florida? Hey, do you want to come coach in Columbus, Ohio? Hey, Michigan's looking for a head coaching job. Like, where is Fickell and Venables going to get those warrant those type of extensions?
I think, and I want to hear what TJ thinks about this, I think it's the proverbial Bo Pelini effect, is that you can have success, you can have, I wouldn't describe what Wisconsin has been doing lately as lighting the world on fire to that point. And to your point about Brent Venables, I think it's clear that he's a really great, one of the best ever defensive coordinators. But as a head coach, he struggled at a blue blood program that really should not be struggling to put together talent, put together a roster. Luke Fickell, that one I was confused by because I haven't agreed with the way that he's put together his staff. They've trying to build through the transfer portal almost exclusively over the last few years, and it's just not worked. They've gotten away from their identity. It just doesn't make sense what the Badgers have been doing. So that's just one case study. I think the point I was just saying, the Bo Pelini effect. You can have success, and then it's like, hey, we should fire this guy and go get somebody else. Devil's advocate, who else are you going to go get that is better than Brent Venables, that is better than Luke Fickell? You take a shot on somebody new. And honestly, and Cole, you know this, TJ, you know this, the years mean nothing. The years really don't mean it. Like, it's a nice example, and maybe you get a little extra coin on your bottom line year to year. Maybe that buyout gets a little bit bigger. Maybe it gets a little bit smaller because, like, hey, we'll extend you, but we're going to reduce this. So there's all these intricacies to these contracts. But TJ, I'm curious how you feel about some of these guys getting extended.
Let's talk about Mike Norvell, for instance, getting that major.
Oh, yeah.
How about that, buddy?
Let's talk about Florida State.
Let's talk about Florida State. How about that?
Finally, two episodes in, they get brought up. Well, on Venables specifically, and then we can talk about FSU's situation or conundrum or whatever. But I almost wonder if it's not, and I don't think this is the total answer, but I almost wonder if it's not a little bit for the recruiting side of things to really not allow teams to negative recruit the fact that, hey, this coach is getting fired after this year. He can go back into living rooms and say, look, I just got extended. Like, they buy into what I'm selling. I'm here for the long term. I know it hasn't gone the way that we wanted it to, right, so far at Oklahoma, but I am going to be here for the long term. They're bought into me. I'm bought into them. I ain't going anywhere. I just got this extension. Come play for Oklahoma, right? And I think Florida State did that to back up some and not even talk about Florida State's current problem. They did that after Mike Norvell went 5-7 his second year, right? They went 3-6 the first year in COVID. They gave him an extension after going 5-7. They went 5-3 down the stretch after an 0-4 start. Those 3 losses, they were an underdog in each of those games, and they lost each one of them by 1 score. And so there was some promise there before the 10-3 season that Norvell had the next year. And so I think that, and when I asked, like, why are they extending him? Like, we've had back-to-back losing seasons at Florida State. Like, that doesn't happen. What are we doing here? It was, hey, man, I really think that he's having a tough time selling. Now, we can look back and say some of that's just the fact that, hey, he doesn't assemble a staff that could recruit worth of crap. But it's the idea of like, hey, we're bought into this. We're bought into this long term. We're going to be able to sell this vision. We're going to let recruits know, like, no, we're very serious about this guy. Come and play for us. And we did see an uptick in that when Scott Strickland came out at UF and said, no, Napier's our guy for next year. Their recruiting went from like the 60s to the top 10 this year. Now, winning on the field helped that too. So it was both at the same time. But I do think that aspect of it can't be overlooked, right? Because at the end of the day, the money at Oklahoma is plentiful, right? Like, they can, if they need to let him go, they certainly can. And so giving an extension right now looks funny, but I don't think it's that crazy. Like, if Napier goes 8-4 this year, he's going to get a massive extension, right? Like, that's just.
But look at their schedule. That's the reason.
Oh, for sure. Lagway is going to save him.
Here's the other thing that I will say. I thought that this was interesting. Do you think scheduling plays any factor in it at all? Because of Look at Wisconsin's schedule this year. They got a short end of the stick. They are brutally, I think, going to be in trouble for 2025. And I like what they did with bringing in the quarterbacks. I like the addition of Billy Edwards. I like the San Diego State kid. But their schedule is daunting, to say the least, especially with those West Coast trips. So do you extend him because you're just saying, regardless of what we do this year, no pressure whatsoever? Same thing for Brent Venables. Like, I think a lot of people look at that schedule last season and go, oh, it was a cakewalk. And then it's like, well, no, Tennessee went to the playoff and Texas went to the playoff and you beat Alabama, but Alabama was going to be a playoff team. Ole Miss was a couple of plays away from being in the postseason. South Carolina, the same thing, a couple of plays away. Do you extend them now to guarantee that they're locked in just for this year and the pressure's kind of taken off for what the expectations actually are?
I think so. It kind of feels like that. And at the same time, like, how are you not getting the right talent at Oklahoma, for instance? I mean, to the point TJ was just making, they clearly.
Oh God, okay.
You know what I mean?
The injuries were a major deal. The thing that
Injuries were a major issue. No, I completely agree with you. But at the same time, they clearly haven't recruited very well.
Yeah,
You have the money to go do it. If Texas Tech is getting better players than you are, there's something wrong in Oklahoma. Right,
but now they landed, in my opinion, the best quarterback that was available on the market. I'll stand on that, John Mateer. And the best part is that he already knows the offense because they brought in his OC, Ben Arbuckle, and his quarterback coach from Pullman. Right. So it's like, if I can give a wash to teams like Texas A&M every other offseason for what they accomplish in the portal, I can give a wash to Oklahoma in year one. But here's the deal. I'm just a dude in the internet begging for people to pay me for opinions. The fan base that lives out in Norman, Oklahoma, they have certain expectations. And they understand we don't care who you bring in at quarterback. We don't care what the schedule is. We don't care who is your top recruit. We don't care how many 5-stars we land. Your goal in Memorial Stadium is 10-2 college football playoff appearance and probably a postseason win. Mm-hmm. That's what we expect. And they should expect that, which is why they went and they hired Jim Nagy, who, again, TJ, it was a crappy situation going on in Mobile right now. But he is, I think, a good thing coming to Norman. Regardless of how you feel about BV, his arrival, I think, is now setting a standard back in what we expect for Joe Castiglione, especially the athletic department.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great hire. I'm a little surprised. His name got tossed around a little bit with some NFL stuff. I'm a little surprised that he picked Oklahoma, right? Now, maybe I haven't seen any contract details. I know this is kind of breaking news as far as we've gotten started. I think he could have gone and worked a lot of places. It seems like, there's a chance. Now, I do agree with you on Mateer being the best and not having to relearn the offense. They still have, I think, the toughest schedule in the country. And so are they...
far and away, they have the toughest schedule in the country, in my opinion.
Is he just there for 10 months? Is there, or 8 months? Is there that? So I don't know. I think that's kind of more, I don't think it's a bad move on Oklahoma's part at all. And he's still got to break in somewhere. So, and Oklahoma is a storied program. So but I do kind of wonder, could he be 1 year and gone because of where Oklahoma is with Brent Venables? I think that's a realistic possibility.
The way that I always view it personally is if you're the newest guy hired, you're the last one on the totem pole. So you're safe for at least one full year. If they hire a GM and a head coach in the NFL at the same time, both of you could be on the chopping block at the same time. But if a GM comes in after a head coaching hire, the GM now has the say over the head coach. Or if a head coach comes in, the head coach kind of has a little bit more priority than the GM. I feel that way with Nagy. I feel that he's safe for a year, at least one full year.
At least one full year. That's the NFL model. But how many of these college coaches, say there's a new GM at Georgia, is that GM going to tell Kirby Smart who he's going to go and recruit? It's the complete inverse of the NFL. So I would be stunned. And honestly, we probably will see it at some point in time that a GM is dictating roster decisions over a coach at the college football level. But that really turns the sport on its head.
Tom, who is telling Kirby Smart anything down in Athens? Who is ever going to tell him that? That's a terrible comparison.
I think it's a valid comparison because if Oklahoma say they fire Brent Venables, it's like, hey, Jim Nagy is the general manager, and then they go hire another head coach, regardless of who it is, and they walk in the door. It's like, by the way, Jim is doing all the recruiting decisions. He's picking your personnel, etc. Who is going to take that job? Even though it's Oklahoma, who in college football, when the history of the sport has been that the head coach decides who is on the freaking field, who in their right mind is going to be like, yeah, I'll listen to the GM now. This is a dream job for me, but I'll just roll over and eat this one.
Yeah, I could see a new coach. Now, a new coach may love the idea of Nagy there, right? Yeah. But a new coach may also say I want my guy, And so I don't know. I like Brent Venables. I kind of like Oklahoma. I'd like to see them work out.
Oh, sure, it'll be fun. It'll be great
but
for the sport. Yeah.
I don't know that. I don't know how. I don't know if they will, man. Again, the schedule is a big deal, right? Like if they kind of give them a pass, if they go 7-5, 7-5 this year with their record is great. I think he'll be fine. But if they go 4-8, 5-7, I think you've got a real question of what happens there in Norman.
I still don't. I still just. They're not going to turn. People saying that they're going to turn to Nebraska 2.0. I think that's low.
Yeah.
That's a low blow.
Give them Texas' schedule last year and give Texas their schedule.
See what happens.
Appreciate the super chat here from Ryan. Ryan says, add to bad Alabama upset. Fickle was extended. He hasn't done anything. Ryan, appreciate you a ton for the love. Yeah, I mean, I think we're all three in agreement with you. It feels a little bit weird. It is strange for sure. I don't know if you guys have anything quickly to add on there, but yeah, I think we're all kind of on board with that. And, we're hoping for the best. I would like to go to a game up in Madison. Like that sounds fun. I'd like to do it. Jump around.
I have friends who've gone. It's an incredible time to go. But like I said, they've lost their identity. And it's not that they absolutely have to go back to the way that things were when Ron Dane was playing running back. And it was like, oh, we hand the ball off and we play action. We have mediocre quarterbacks at best, that sort of thing. They're obviously trying to change things. But Luke Fickell, I think the promise of him potentially being the head coach at Ohio State one point, probably still holding on to that a little bit. And it's like, okay, did some okay things at Cincinnati, got yourself into the Big Ten again. I'm not feeling it.
He was my favorite hire made in the last 2 years, and he has severely disappointed me.
And also, as we well know, Wisconsin is one of the more tight-fisted athletic departments across the board. They do not want to spend a lot of money on sports, so you get what you pay for.
Hey, thanks for watching The Power 2. If you like this type of content, make sure you hit subscribe and check out some of our other videos found here on the channel. Bye.